On the show, we drive the much-awaited India spec Jimny. The Simple One launches, and we catch up with Shresh Mishra, co-founder Simple Energy. Hello and welcome to Overdrive. I'm Rohit Paradkar and your host for today. I hope all of you have been having a great week because we've certainly been having a great time. We were up in Dehradun driving the new India spec 5-door Maruti Suzuki Jimny. How is it? Well, I'm not going to say much. Take a look at the review. It's been ages since Maruti Suzuki discontinued the Gypsy. I remember how as a kid I used to adore that car, still do. But you see, with the big influx of soft-roaders which have plenty of creature comforts, the Gypsy didn't really find many takers in the last couple of decades. But now people are bitten by the adventure bug. Everyone seems to be lapping the Mahindra Thar as if they were prepping for a gold rush. So you see, there is now space for a focused off-roader, and which is why the spiritual successor to the Gypsy is now back. It has been ages since Maruti Suzuki has been making it and exporting it out of India, and we've never got a chance to drive it. But finally, today is the day when the new Jimny is out here on the Indian roads and we are driving it. Take a look. The words India spec are important with this car because this is the 5-door Jimny. You see, India is largely a market of single car garages, which means that the 2-door Jimny wouldn't have probably worked. I know a lot of you Thar owners out there will disagree, but then the 2-door Jimny is so compact, it just wouldn't make much sense for the Indian audience if that was going to be the only car in the garage. That would have made it a very niche offering. This one will certainly find more takers. The 5-door configuration gives it a 340mm longer wheelbase than 3-door and a lot more boot space too. The boot space seems pretty shallow on paper, but honestly it's not too bad because you get this large squarish opening, which means that you can put 2 large suitcases. That shouldn't be a problem at all. And the loading lip isn't too high either. So overall, the ergonomics or the space of the boot, not something that I'll complain about. And should you need more space, you can always drop these 50-50 split seats. Now, speaking of the seats, the rear door, it's not too wide. You can see that it's not too wide. However, because of the height of the car, ingress and egress isn't that big a problem. It doesn't feel as tight as a hatchback. The width of the cabin, however, is comparable to a Swift. So while you do get that recline, the cushioning is pretty flat. You get good lumbar support, but under thigh support could have been better. The seats could have been a little longer and there could have been a slightly more upright squab over here to give you better under thigh support, but unfortunately you do not get that. Also, because of the 50-50 split, you do not get a smaller center seat to keep a kid in. This place is only good enough for 2 adults. You also get 2 adjustable headrests and only 2 seat belts. So strictly 2 adults only. You do get ISOFIX child seat mounts though, so you can place a child seat over here comfortably. That shouldn't be a problem at all. Speaking of comfort, well, this is the kind of knee room I get when I put the front seat, the driver's seat, to my preference. And it's honestly not too bad. And even though the right rail and the left rail for the seats is at 2 different levels, the foot space is still quite good. Even the headroom, they've scooped it out a little bit, the headliner, so you get decent headroom as well. Visibility outside of the window is also quite good. However, the headrests at the front are quite large, the seats are nice and broad, so they make it quite comfortable for the front passengers, but at the same time, the air conditioning, the overall air circulation is not up to the mark. I think when they extended the wheelbase, when they made this 4-door or a 5-door configuration, they should have also added rear AC vents. That I think is a missed opportunity. They definitely should have done that. You also do not get any center armrest because of the 50-50 split, and even to get some space for your knickknacks, you have to resort to only these pockets. So while the Indian 5-door variant offers better space, the Jimny's cabin remains more functional and straightforward than outright comfortable. But the driver's seat should have been height adjustable. The dashboard, scratchy plastics, but I do like this rubberized big grab handle. Unfortunately, nothing like that for the driver. I'm going to come to that later. The dashboard layout, it looks quite nice with the whole grid layout. Some may not like it though, but I quite like it. It's very functional. I love those old school dials. It's got a very Japanese old school off-roader vibe. So I quite like it. The dashboard could have done with a bit more color. But I'm sure a lot of you might want to look at aftermarket options like wraps or maybe some inserts here and there, maybe some different bezels for the AC vents, etc. You'll also have to look at aftermarket options for some storage because as you can see, there's hardly any storage. Even a plus size phone doesn't find any space anywhere. Should you choose the automatic, there is some space out here, but with the manual, there's nothing because this tunnel console has these two levers, so there's absolutely no space here. You don't even get too many cup holders, you only get 2 cup holders here. There's nothing in the doors, there's no cool cup holder like some of the smaller Maruti Suzuki hatchbacks, etc. So yeah, in terms of the storage, in terms of utility spaces, not too much. Ergonomics are pretty decent, but this is clearly more function over form. While Maruti Suzuki couldn't confirm this, it looks like you should be able to hose down the cabin to clean all the muck and dirt. The chunky controls look good and their tactile feedback feels good too. The infotainment system isn't too basic. You get 2 touchscreen options with Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, and the top-end system gets connected technologies, voice commands and Archaime's tuned surround sound like some of the other Nexa cars. The audio quality honestly is pretty average. With those very slim door pads, there's a lot of reverbing that happens from those plastics, and that's the reason why the audio quality or the audio experience is not really the Archaime's level. So don't go by that brochure talk. The audio quality is just plain average. To add to it, the cabin fills up with all kinds of noises on the move. The engine note, transmission whines, road and wind noises, etc. Some of you will like that feeling, some of you may not. The sound insulation then is pretty average too. Further, the body shape punches a square hole through the air, which means that the aerodynamics don't aid the noise insulation or the efficiency. The body uses Suzuki's tech platform for its lightweight construction. The slim doors, vertical pillars, straight lines make the Jimny the boxiest SUV in its category. It doesn't look as imposing as the Thar or even the Gurkha for that matter, but it doesn't lack character either. It looks like the emoji of a G-Wagon or a Defender, and that's a big draw for the Jimny. Can it rule all terrains like these stalwarts though? So that's how the Maruti Suzuki looks inside and outside, but how does it ride on the road and of course off it? Stay tuned, we'll be back after a quick break to tell you all about it. Welcome back, you're watching Overdrive. So is the Maruti Suzuki Jimny a true blue SUV? Take a look. The terrain you see here is full of pebbled rocks from the dry riverbed, soft sand and slush, all of which challenge traction. Now you have seen vehicles tripoding, but letting 2 wheels on flat ground and dropping the other side down at a steep angle sure sounds and looks scary. But the Jimny handles that efficiently with its slim tires tiptoeing through the obstacles. We approached a 70-degree steep descent turning in, and the breakover angle, even for this longer 5-door Jimny, did not feel inadequate. And the fact that you can see both corners of the clamshell bonnet is a big plus. There's a hill descent control which limits the speed to 5 km an hour, which is perfect for tricky, rocky downhills. The wading depth isn't on par with some of the competition, but if you want to tread deeper waters, Suzuki will sell you a snorkel that replaces this panel, which by the way was inspired by the Gypsy. So we've done multiple courses today. Usually most car makers will organize courses which are tailor-made for vehicles. Here, it's all natural. It's the natural habitat. Yes, certain things have been sort of made, but that's to add the extremities to it, to make it more difficult. And you saw with the kind of ease that this car goes through all of it. And that's really the beauty of it. Because if you look at the spec sheet, of course, there'll be a lot of areas where you may think, no, it's probably not up to the mark, it's not as powerful, it's not as torquey, the breakover angle or maybe the front approach angle, it may not be, up there with the competition. 210 millimeters of ground clearance may not be enough, the tires are too skinny. Believe me, just take all of that, throw it out of the window, because the car is surprisingly good at all of this stuff. It feels very easy. That's the more important bit. It feels very friendly. It feels very unintimidating. It feels very confidence inspiring, no matter what you're doing with it. Just wading through water or going down those steep descents. It's just so effortless, and that's the key word here, effortless. The mere 1.2-ton weight of the Jimny helps it trot over such terrain without bogging down, while the linear power delivery of the naturally aspirated engine ensures superb tractability. The Jimny is powered by the familiar 1.5-litre 4-cylinder naturally aspirated petrol engine, but it is longitudinally mounted in the Jimny and runs a rear-wheel drive setup when in two-wheel drive mode. It is certainly more refined than its rivals, but feels gruff compared to its transversely mounted applications like the Brezza or the Ertiga, for example. It doesn't feel as punchy either. Being in Dehradun, we are subject to some really narrow roads and some uphill climbs as well. And here, that low torque output is making itself evident. It wasn't a big problem off the road, but here it is making itself evident. I'm having to be in second gear most of the times, or sometimes even having to come down to the first gear, and that's with just me and my camera person right now in the car. So it's a bit of a downer. This is where probably turbocharging would have helped. This is where probably more power, more torque would have helped. At the same time, that would have become a big problem off the road, and this is primarily an off-roader, and that is why you have to live with the kind of power and torque output it gives you. As far as the manual transmission goes, we've sampled it in the past. The 5-speed, it does feel a bit notchy. The gear shifts, they do feel a bit notchy. Here in this car, the throws are quite long as well. But I quite like that feeling. I'm not really complaining about that notchy feeling. It feels mechanical, it feels better connected, and I like that feeling. Even the clutch pedal feels nice and light. So even when driving through city traffic or on winding roads like these, it doesn't feel cumbersome at all. We were also able to get a quick fuel economy test done, and it affirmed that the Jimny does guzzle quite a bit, though it's not as thirsty as the petrol Thar. Expect a further 10% economy drop on the automatic. Even the steering of the Jimny needs getting used to, because it uses the slower ball screw type steering gear instead of a rack and pinion type steering used on the other Maruti Suzuki cars. Lane changes at triple-digit speeds is not a big deal at all. There you don't feel that body roll all that much. It's only around the winding roads where you have that much vertical movement. But on the straight roads, while changing lanes, not too bad. The highway stability of the Jimny is not too bad. Speeds of about 100 kilometers an hour, not too bad at all. It doesn't feel unnerving driving at this speed. Even braking at this speed, not a problem at all. But yes, the brakes do have a bit of a spongy feel to them. They don't feel as bitey, and that's expected on an off-road vehicle like this. The brake modulation is pretty easy because of that, and that's a very good feeling. But yes, you again, like the steering, even the brakes feel a little slow, so you have to factor that in if you're going to be driving at triple-digit speeds. Like adventure vehicles of all kinds, the Jimny also enjoys big aftermarket support that can enhance the car's appearance, comforts, capabilities, and scope. Internationally, it enjoys a big community and brotherhood like the Jeepers, and if priced right, it's likely to do the same in India as well. Most of you often say what's being marketed as SUVs aren't really SUVs, they're crossovers. Well, here's one car that's a true blue SUV then. Old-timers, the gypsy communities, and people like me maybe wanting to own a gypsy at some point will find a modern mountain goat in the Jimny. So while it may not be the right car for a single car garage, it's a must-have in your garage if the adventure bug has bitten you. Well, the Maruti Suzuki Jimny is a promising product, but pricing is going to be key. If priced right, would you choose it over a Mahindra Thar? Well, that's a story for another day. But it's time now for a quick break. On the other side, Chris has caught up with one of the co-founders of Simple Energy to give you insights about the company and its future plans. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching Overdrive. Simple One has finally launched their much-awaited e-scooter, and Chris was there to attend the launch and also speak to one of the co-founders to get insights about the company and its future. Take a listen.
We were recently invited to Simple Energy's manufacturing plant in Shoolagiri, Tamil Nadu, to witness the launch of its first exciting electric two-wheeler proposition for the country, the Simple One. Now, the production model that launched out here today pretty much resembles the pre-production model that we had sampled back in September 2022, apart from a couple of changes in the form of a slightly bigger battery pack, as well as the increase in weight of the entire scooter itself, which has gone up from 115 kgs to 134 kgs. But the most substantial of all changes with regard to the scooter has to be in the form of its pricing, which has risen from 1,10,000 rupees up to a range of 1,45,000 rupees to 1,58,000 rupees. Now, we caught up with one of the co-founders of Simple Electric, Shreyash Mishra, to find out a little more in detail about the recently launched product. To begin with, Shreyash, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
It's been a long time coming, really. Okay, so first and foremost, September last year, to the scooter, that was a pre-production model that we got our hands on last September. Now, coming to the pre-production model, a couple of changes that we've seen from the presentation. The battery capacity has changed, first and foremost. What all is new on the production-ready model?
So, the battery capacity has increased just because to compensate with the weight increase that has happened. Now, the scooter weighs in around 134 kgs. Initially, it was 115 kgs. Because of the new safety norms that the government has implemented, we have been forced to increase the weight of the scooter, and we have implemented all the safety features onto the battery pack and the algorithms to ensure the safety of the consumers. Plus, not to compromise on the range or the performance. That is why we had to increase the battery pack a little bit. So now it's a 5 kilowatt battery pack that we pack into the scooter, and it is again divided into fixed as well as portable. That is something that we have been focusing on since day one, and that is what the benefit the consumers will get with the scooter.
Now, a major talking point has to be the price. Now, when you came out of the scooter back in 2021, you said, okay, fine, you put the price out there saying 1,10,000 rupees. But now, production ready model, 1,45,000 to 58,000. How do you justify that to the customer who has already put down a booking amount for the scooter, and how do you retaining him and telling him it's worth it?
So, when we talk about the electric vehicle market in the present scenario also, and when we compare Simple One to the other products available in the market, the value proposition is far better than any of the products available in the market. And that is where, and also with the new safety norms coming in and the supply chain constraint that everybody is facing around the globe, that is what forced us to increase the price. And we are also working on other products that will be catering to the needs of the market, and as just like Simple One, which has unique value proposition for the consumers in terms of range, in terms of acceleration, in terms of the hybrid battery system that we have, we will have a unique value proposition for all the products that will be coming out from House of Simple.
Also, on the topic of batteries, do you have a fixed and a detachable battery? Now, what do you think is the future of batteries? Portable stations where you can charge your battery on the go, or Simple Energy planning on just coming out with detachable batteries or fixed charger units?
Yes.
Or what is the plan as of now?
So we are still on the side that the fixed battery packs will be going ahead in the consumer market. Maybe in the B2B segment, the swapping stations or all of that can work out, but in the consumer segment where you have purchased a new battery pack and you swap it with the battery pack which you don't know how it has been used, it becomes a challenge for the consumer, right? So we'll be going ahead and putting up charging stations across the cities that we expand in to ensure that the consumers who buy Simple One are serviced through those charging stations.
All right. Okay, so just can you give us a brief update on the company as of now? People are not too sure of where the company stands as of now. So because you've taken some time to come out with your first product. So just to give our viewers an idea of where the company stands, production, distribution, and of course sales and service.
I would want to tell them that Simple Energy is a 400 members strong team, and 400 members working specifically on the R&D side, making the product better day by day. Not just the Simple One, we are working on multiple more products, and the consumers have been saying that we do not communicate. It's just that we did not want to communicate half-baked information, and today the Simple One is out and you have all the information available. So now going ahead, we'll be communicating with you with all the details, all the things on our social media accounts, through YouTube channels like yours, and reaching out to people and telling them that that how do we work out and how do we ensure that the consumers who have pre-booked or who will be pre-booking with or will be booking with us in the future are serviced with the service stations, with the sales point and after sales support as well.
Just one last question about the vehicle. So now there is one fixed vehicle and different color options. That is the differentiation of price. But what about the that fast charger unit? Now, how are people going to be billed for that? Is it going to be separate? Is it all come under that 1.5 lakh bracket, or how does that work?
So the price that we announced around 1.58 lakh rupees will include the charger as well. That is, there is no separate thing that will be paying for charger. Apart from that, we'll be putting up fast charging stations and we'll be providing more options on the charging thing of the vehicle to give as an accessory. For example, we announced last year 1.5 kilowatt charger as well for home. That will also be coming in the accessory and that will be introduced soon for the consumers.
Well, that's it from this week's show of Overdrive. I hope you enjoyed it. You can always send us all your feedback, suggestions and ideas through all our social media networks. You can also stay tuned to our Instagram page for all the latest that's happening in the world of automobiles. Until next time, thank you so much for watching the show. Take care, drive safe and goodbye.